is a wife, mother, grandmother, counselor, life coach, educator, child woman, warrior, author of Oh, the Joy of Beautiful Feet and I Choose Joy. She is a licensed minister of dance, leader, and advocate in mental health and self care who has a passion to empower people of all ages and cultures. Kelly is happily married to her soulmate, Reverend Travis L. Brown, author and educator who humbly supports her passion and desire to serve the Lord with her many kingdom gifts. Kelly has a master's in education, a master's in counseling. She holds the office as teacher and evangelist in the fivefold ministry. She was ordained as evangelist in 1996. She completed course study in the prophetic from dancing on the Promises International Ministries under Apostle Michelle Rucker. She obtained her certificate as a certified anger management specialist, as a certified life coach under Apostle Michelle Foster. Pass the Baton Pay It Forward Ministries. She is a global certified mental health first aid instructor under the National Council of Behavioral Health. Kelly was licensed as a minister of dance in 2011 under Apostle Pamela Hardy, Set Free Ministries in the Eagles International Training Institute. She graduated from Kingdom Ambassador Ministerial Training in the Office of Teacher in 2015. She has held the office of Dean of Lions International Training Institute. Kelly was awarded the 2018 Judah Music and Dance Honors. She is sought after for consultation in dance dynamics, dance management, and for dance resources. Kelly has trained and instructed dancers locally and on an international level. She has developed dance teams in churches in multiple states. Kelly has facilitated dance seminars on pageantry, flags, and priestly garments. Her heart is to educate, empower, and counsel the whole person in spirit, mind, and body. She has developed a dance curriculum, Rise Up and War, to educate and empower individuals in the movement ministry of the arts. Kelly serves faithfully as the servant leader of Spirit and Word Movement Ministry and production team under the leadership of Pastor Frank Salters and Reverend Miriam Salters at Word of Faith, Light of Joy in Riverdale, Georgia. Kelly has been blessed to minister with various dance ministries such as the Tribe of Judah, Amazing Grace Dance Company, and Passion for Worship International Dance Ministry. She serves as the dance coordinator for Unrestrained Worship Conference in 2017 and 2018, leading worshipers throughout the state of Georgia in an authentic praise and worship. Amen. Welcome, Kelly.
Thank you. Welcome, Kelly. We thank God for you. We thank you for being here. Remove this spotlight. Dr. Campbell. Welcome Dr. Beth Campbell to the platform. Dr. Juanita Campbell has been practicing as a therapist and school counselor for over 30 years in the Middle Georgia area. She is a licensed professional counselor, and she has a doctorate degree in counseling and psychology. Dr. Campbell has been an adjunct instructor at Fort Valley State University for 4 years and has owned her own counseling business since 2017. She is a national certified counselor and a certified professional supervising counselor for the state of Georgia. Her motto is to be there for your fellow man to help them through what life brings them. Dr. Campbell enjoys working with teens and adults as well as couples. Dr. Campbell has a wealth of hands-on experience with many mental health problems and concerns. So welcome to the platform, Dr. Juanita Campbell. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Williams. Thank you to the panel as well. I appreciate every one of y'all. Thank you.
Next, we have Nanika J. Owens. Nanika J. Owens is one of the most highly regarded relationship specialists in the Midwest. A licensed clinical therapist since 2006, she privately practices at the firm she established in Dearborn, Michigan, counseling couples, families, and individuals from all backgrounds. Known for her insightful advice and wisdom, Nika is a familiar face and voice among mental and behavioral health experts. Her media appearances in Detroit and nationally include a popular WCHB-AM radio segment she co-hosted with Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Angelo Henderson, and as a guest of the Oprah Winfrey Network and Channel 7, Detroit's ABC News affiliate. In 2009, Nanika established the well-received Truth Party for Relationships, regularly attracting a range of participants from married couples to those looking to succeed in the dating game, to dinner and group discussion. Nanika is a frequently requested speaker and facilitator for programs at churches and special events. In 2013, she gave the keynote address at the Black Marriage Day celebration. She recently brought her message promoting healthy relationships to the screen with the premiere of her first documentary, Beauty from Ashes, A Journey of Three Daughters, part of the Behind the 90 series. Nanika lives with her husband and family in Metro Detroit. So I want you to welcome Miss Nanika Owens. She is our counselor, and she's going to be one of our teachers today. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm going to now put the rest of the guest speakers in on the spotlight. So I should have all three of you spotlighted right now so that we can hear you and we can see you. Amen, somebody. So we are so blessed today to have these three special licensed, and I have to say that, licensed professional counselors. The reason why, and I tell you guys this all the time, I take the time to read the bios is because your bio is not just your bio. Your bio is God's bio. It is showing just how much He's been working in their life. It was not easy for them to become licensed. It is not easy what they do on a day-to-day basis. And not only are they doing it, they're thriving in it. Their bios, all of them, all three of them, since last year when they were here, they've all been elevated. They're all doing new things that they're not even contained in these bios. So I want to welcome both of them, all three of them today. And I want us to get started on our discussion. Being unstuck. How do we get unstuck? How do we stop the self-sabotage? Who wants to go first this morning?
I can go first. This is Anika Owens. That's a great question. Thank you so much, Ms. Williams, for having me again. It's my pleasure and honor to be here. Mental Health Awareness Month. The way that a person can get unstuck, one, you have to be aware of it. A lot of times we're not aware. Awareness is key. A lot of times we're in denial about where we are mentally. So I think there has to be a level of acknowledgement of where you are. And a lot of times that acknowledgement comes from our relationships with the people that we're familiar with in terms of how they experience us. Because if we isolate ourselves and not be around people, it really doesn't give you a glimpse of who you are and how people are experiencing you. So I really feel like to get unstuck is to be aware and to have the familiar people that are around you, allow them to pour into you and allow them to tell you how they're experiencing you. That's the only way I feel like in the mental health arena that you will get unstuck, because sometimes things become so normalized that you don't realize it until you have people who care about you point out something, and then you have to be open to it.
That's wonderful. And you know what I like about what you're saying, and we'll open it up for questions in a minute. The being aware of how people experience you.
Yeah.
We're so self-focused on how we are experiencing others that we don't look at how are people experiencing you.
Yes.
To add to that, and thank you, Nanika. Absolutely, I agree with every word that you spoke. That self-awareness is key, and that's paramount, right? That's the first step. And then
Mhm.
after that, the making a decision, right? Making a decision to say, hey, I'm ready to move forward, right? And being in that ready state is important because oftentimes, even if you're aware, you're not ready and willing to move forward because getting stuck, there's work that is required. And we're stuck because of trauma. We're stuck because of us, right? We're sabotaging ourselves. So being able to, one, be self-aware, but also making that decision, right? That awareness that is the uncovering, where now you have discovered, right? You become more aware of just where you are, the pain, and the necessary healing that's needed. And that's in the decision making to decide, hey, I'm ready for healing. And we know that healing and deliverance is not, a walk in the park, it's a deliverance process, right? It's not an overnight success. And individuals oftentimes, it's challenging to put the work in consistently. But the decision to say, hey, I'm ready for the healing process of getting unstuck, right? I think it's very important for those who have found themselves being stuck, right? And that decision making, the uncovering first, and then the decision making, that all leads to the healing. And we know that healing doesn't come forth unless there's forgiveness and being willing to process that and even go further in that area of healing so that you can become unstuck and not only unstuck, but become whole again and be able to move forward without looking back.
And I guess before Dr. Campbell speaks, we kind of jumped right on into it. I mean, what does it mean to be mentally stuck in the first place? I mean, I know to be stuck means you're not moving forward or backward, you're in the same position, right? And you're saying the awareness that you want to change, the awareness to step out of the pain or whatever it is, the willingness to do the work to bring on healing. But in that awareness, I guess some people don't even realize that they are stuck. And if nobody around you tell you that you are, and you don't tell you that you are, then I mean, this forum wouldn't be for somebody that didn't even realize that they were stuck. What does it even mean to be stuck in an area? And I know you guys counsel all the time on a daily basis, and you may see people that are coworkers or colleagues that become stuck because depending on what's happening in our lives, any of us could become stuck or stagnant in our lives.
Yeah.
And, any of us could. So what does it really look like? Because maybe somebody is on here saying, I heard the topic that you were saying, how to get mentally unstuck, but I really don't even know if I'm stuck or not. What does that look like to these counselors?
Well, I think for me, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I think for me and working in this profession for over 30 years, I look at their, their mental status. What is going on? Are they working? Are they coming home, going to bed? Are they experiencing a lot of stressors from work or from family or from situations that they're in? I think stress and depression and anxiety cause us to be the most stuck when we are stuck. And I think, like Miss Owens said and Miss Brown said, recognizing that I am stuck and I'm in this mental place where I don't know what to do, but I think looking at certain things that you're doing, certain behaviors, that's what I recognize in my clients, that I can tell that, they're some of the things that they do is they talk negatively to themselves. So I think a big part of it is talking negatively to yourself. Say, for example, oh, just stupid. Oh, I can't do this, or I can't do that, or um, I don't want to go to church today because I'm feeling sad, or not even recognizing that they're feeling sad, just not going because they don't want to be around people. And through COVID, that has been, they want to isolate. I think Miss Owens mentioned that. Just a lot of things that I see, and since we last met, I don't know if my husband would mind. I hope he wouldn't mind if I share this, but when you are a therapist and you experience true mental health issues going on in your own family, that's a stressor for yourself, and so um I work very diligently with my husband and my son on their negative self-talk every day, you know. Um and I think if you can work on that and change that can be key to growth.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. That language is important. When you hear an individual and they're constantly, right, repeating, right, negative self-talk, doubt, fear, failure, where there's
Yes.
some hopelessness there, where they believe, right? Because when you stuck, you begin to believe that what your situation is, it's not gonna, this is what it is, right? It is what it is, and there's nothing that's gonna happen in their mind that will cause them to move forward. So ruminating thoughts, constantly thinking about, right, the same things, talking about the same things, they are stuck. And there's no solution, there's no resolve, there's no conversation around how do I move past this? It's the belief that this is what it is. And when you begin to believe something, right, we know there's nothing you can do if someone believes. If you believe you can, guess what? You will. And if you believe you can't and you won't, guess what? You'll stay right there. And that's going to be your reality, because that's the stuck point, that the individual is there and being able to go back to see, where did it start? What happened? What happened?
Yeah. That's I echo what the ladies have said. I want to give it an example, and I'm sure a lot of you have heard the Diddy situation, Puff Daddy situation. And when you think about someone who has a lot of money, is not necessarily, that's basically his coping strategy. That's what's making, things right for him in his life. But sometimes you have to hit rock bottom to actually get better. And I don't know where everybody has their bottom, right? And not to make this about a Diddy thing, but just to kind of give it some relatability. A lot of times you would think a person um, that's impacting people's life the way that he is, there's definitely some mental challenges, and he's probably coping with it by way of doing what he does. And so as things develop and unfold, that's his rock bottom, because he hasn't hit rock bottom. So when people hit rock bottom, there's nowhere else to go. So it's just like, okay, so they're almost desperate. I need help. I need to feel better. So they get desperate. And I just gave that example because I'm sure some of us have heard what has been happening. But when people hit rock bottom, they'd have almost no choice. And it may not be so much for them. It may be for public opinion for now, and then later it may be for themselves. A lot of times it's for someone else in a situation like that, and then at some point it becomes about yourself when you step outside of denial.
And what
Thank you for
about,
sharing that. It's good.
You're
yeah,
welcome.
I was thinking, when I did the research, and clinically, I guess you guys call it cognitive immobility, when a person is trapped in the past or negative thoughts or negative emotions, and they feel like they've done everything they can, and they don't see a way out. They feel trapped, right?
Yeah.
In these situations. And I, as a minister, a pastor, a leader, I meet these people too, you know, where it's so clear that, well, just do this, let's do something different. And they can't even imagine something different. And it's so clear to someone who thinks outside the box, or has not, maybe you haven't been in that situation, but you've seen it, you've been in another one, that just let's try this. What about this? But it's like, no, there's no room for change. How do
Yep.
you handle that as counselors?
Let someone else answer.
What would be the first thing that you would tell somebody that's on this line that feels like there's no way out, there's nowhere else to go?
Well, sometimes you got to try something different. If what you're doing now is not working,
Right.
because you can't force people into therapy, because some people are just not ready for the experience. But sometimes it's not about a feeling, it's about a responsibility. If we did everything based on a feeling, I wouldn't be out of bed today. I'd still be sleeping. But it's not about a feeling, it's about a responsibility we have to ourselves. So step outside of the feeling part of it and do what you have a responsibility to yourself.
That is so good.
And not only that, when you have an individual that's stuck, like Nika said, it's not about a feeling, because feelings are not facts. You know,
Right.
I try to lead and guide individuals based on the facts. What are the facts? Not your feelings, because feelings are fickle, right? We feel one way today, and tomorrow or the next hour, we're feeling something different, right? And identifying their own impact statement. What do you want? Right? It's all about person centered. Like she said, we can't make an individual, you know, not only come to counseling, but even engage, right? Actively engage in your own process, because it's not about the therapist, it's about the individual. They have to put the work in.
Yes.
So if they're willing, right? It's about that decision, that cognitive distortion and mobility that you mentioned, right? It's all about believing. And then you're going to have to put the work in to pivot, right? In your mind, right? You're going to have to figure out those strategies, doing something different, and being willing to consistently work through that process, because it's not going to happen.
And I want to tag onto that and say that we're hope sellers. You know, we, you know, when you talk about the belief system, we have to change or impact that client's belief system and offer them hope, that there is hope, you know, for them. Research from many research from Harvard said that, you know, what we're doing as mental health counselors, it's not about the pills. Okay. They did a research study on, is it about the pills or that we prescribe as therapists, or not as therapists, but as psychiatrists, or is it about the therapy? What is it about? And the research found that it's not about either one of them. Neither one of them impact therapy and counseling more than hope. Hope itself is the most strongest thing that we can do to help our clients improve, is to give them that hope.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So what are some of the things or coping skills when you're selling hope, when you're giving hope? I know all about that as a pastor, giving hope. When you look at this person who's presented either on the line today or either in your office? And how do you impact that belief system that they already have set up to get them to get that hope in there?
That's good. That's a great question. For me, I do a drizzle of self-disclosure if it's
Yes.
appropriate.
Yes.
You almost have to do that. Would you agree, Doctor?
Yes. For
Yes,
sure.
you almost have to, and I'll let you speak more to it. I just feel like, I mean, I can't say enough about if there's an opportunity to self-disclose a little bit, if it's going to benefit them, do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
I just like I did a few minutes ago when I self-disclosed about my husband and my son.
Yes.
I talk a lot about my family in therapy. You know, I talk about what I went through. I went through that situation. I'm over that hill. You're just approaching that hill. I'm
Mhm.
trying to tell you there is hope to get over that hill and
Yes.
to get to the top of it and to be successful in
Mhm.
reaching that goal, you know. So that's why I share
Mhm.
a little bit of what I've been through with my clients. And somehow, some way, I don't know if you ladies are the same way, but they find me, those clients that are going through things that I've already been through
Absolutely.
and been successful.
Mhm.
They find me.
So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
all by design. Absolutely. I'm sitting there and it's like there's a mirror. And that's why it's important
Yes.
for even us as therapists. Our
Mhm.
self-care, our well-being is so important because those transfers, counter transfers, that is so real.
Yeah.
And we must be careful that we're
Yeah,
not being triggered and we need to be aware of our triggers, right? So
absolutely.
the self-disclosure is important. I often ask permission. Do you mind if I
That's
self-disclose?
good. That's good, Dr.
And
Burr.
they'll say yes because oftentimes they need to see that we are real people that
Yes.
have gone through real life situations, right? And they can trust us now, because they believe that we have that hope because
Right.
we've championed through that, right?
Yeah.
And we put the work in it, and we know the pain that comes with children and husbands and grief and shame and all the things that we've dealt with in our lives, in our family lives, on our jobs. So getting the permission, as I often ask, hey, do you mind if I
That's
self-disclose?
good. Mhm.
And when they say yes, they're surprised. Even in my bio, oftentimes people will say, hey, I found you because you were an educator. Because I taught for 11 years. So, educators, the stressors that they go through, so they believe I can speak to them about
Yes.
education. You did this, you did that, and you have experience working with this population. So, that hope is born out of our self disclosure and our confidence that guess what, if we could champion and these are the things that we had to do, then guess what, so can you, so can
Yeah.
you.
Yes. Yes, that's good.
Very good. Yes. Truth.
So they need to see that you're a real person when you're talking to them and giving them
Absolutely.
hope.
Absolutely.
And it would be hope about a certain situation. This is for somebody stuck. So let's say you do have them and you get them to move out of this circle of negative self-talk, negative emotions, hopelessness, as you call it. But you
Mhm.
see something called self-sabotage, which is when people do or don't do things that block their success or prevent them from accomplishing their goals. They're moving, but now they're moving and they come back to you and you find out that they're doing the same thing that they did before. You gave them hope. They went and they did a movement. A thing happened.
Mhm.
They reacted to it, but what they did really was not what you told them. It was more a self defeating or self fulfilling prophecy, or it was something that actually may have gotten them into a worse situation. What do you do then? How can you help them with the self-sabotage? I know we got them unstuck now. We're giving them hope. We're telling them to do something different. But there's some rule behind what they're doing, even if the rule is, you know, I have to work hard to be successful. That sounds good. But
Yeah.
then it limits you, right? Because really, to be successful, that means for them, they always have to be doing something hard.
Yeah. I don't want to always go. I wanted the ladies, I want to give them, if they want to go first.
I would say, because I have another event, but I would say to an individual what happened and get to the root of that. There's a root, right? There's something that's driving them back, that fear, that shame, right? Getting to those things that's causing that individual to not believe and not continue, right? To believe and have the hope. But there's a root there, and getting to the root and giving them something to work on, right? What do you imagine? Where are you going with this? Right? You got to be working on something, working on building another you, right? If you imagine what this new thing looked like, what would it look like? And then how can you get there?
Yeah. Yeah, that's good, Ms. Brown.
Yeah, that's good. I agree. And to tag on to what you were saying, I confront them lovingly about their behavior and their actions, and ask them, you know, what they were trying, like Kelly, Miss Green said, ask them what, I'm sorry, Miss Brown said, ask them what they're trying to achieve with this action that they took that went against what we had already discussed and talked about them doing, and helping them to recognize their self-sabotage. And like Ms. Brown said, going back and reviewing maybe something traumatic in their life that triggered them that happened in the past, that triggered them to do this current action.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. I'm going to piggyback on to what you ladies have said. I think in the very beginning, when I start my sessions, I tell people, human behavior doesn't change overnight. Just preparing them that you may have a setback.
Yeah.
And because that is the reality, because human behavior doesn't change overnight. And I agree, you don't approach it judgmentally, because you may go back when you think about the things that were constructed to get you to be the person that you are, whether it's good or bad. It takes years and years to deconstruct that. So we can say, stop, 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 don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. And they can stop for a while. But until we start peeling back the layers and really deconstructing the things that have been constructed, it takes some time. So there's no judgment. We try to get you back, you have a relapse, you're aware of it, you acknowledge it, and let's get back to it. Let's get back to it. But human behavior doesn't change overnight, and that's just a reality. Not giving them a pass to mess up, but the reality is, look, I'm trying to lose weight and eat right. There are days I have good weeks, and some days I don't. So it's just like I just got to get back to it. I just got to get back to it. So we're human, but let's get back to it.
Get back up, and it's okay. And it's important that they understand that it's okay to err. It's okay to relapse. It's okay if you miss the mark. Don't stay stuck in that, because sometimes they'll beat themselves up so bad. It's harder then, because now they really believe they're a failure. Now they really believe, oh, I knew I couldn't do this, right? And let them know, you know what? Self-awareness, right?
Yes.
I like to always point out to individuals, I want you to know that you're not perfect. There's no one perfect, except that you're not perfect. And then I want you to love your imperfections.
Yes.
And when you begin to love your imperfections and know that you're going to mess up sometimes, you're going to miss the mark, but that doesn't mean that you're not trying. That doesn't mean that you're not going to get there. It just means that maybe today or this week was just that week in that day. But as Nika said, get up and keep moving. The
Yes.
outcome of the thing is what we're looking at, not in the process. The process is difficult. The process is ugly, it's painful, it's
Yes.
shameful, it's
Mhm.
inconsistent. That's the process. But the outcome, right? I tell you, what is your outcome? If you fall down, you relapse, get up, because the outcome is what it is that you're trying to
Yeah.
achieve.
Yeah.
It's a process. It's a long process for some
It
people.
is. And there's so many growth opportunities in
Yeah.
messing up. It's
For
like if you
sure.
look for the growth opportunities, like what was the learning opportunity there?
Right. There
If
you
you're
go.
always looking for, you're always building, even if you take two
Yeah.
steps backwards. Like
Mhm.
what was the growth? What was the learning opportunity in that? So I think that's important too.
For sure.
Mhm.
And so, ladies, let me say this real quickly before we open it up for questions. This is so good. When you see somebody that is unstuck, or I'm sorry, they're still stuck, we can't get them unstuck.
Mhm.
And they've tried, and the self-sabotage exists, and I feel like I'm a failure. What are signs that they need to look for within themselves that I really do need help? I really cannot do this on my own. I need some therapy because I am stuck. Because, this is mental health awareness. I've heard of already 2 suicides, uh, completed suicides, just in my little circle, of friends. So how do we get them to see, you know what, I'm grieving just a little too much now, or I'm really isolated? Like, what can wake them up to say, you know what, I need some help? There's somebody, in just with the numbers, there's somebody on this platform even today that may say, I hear what they're saying, but I'm good. But when are you not good, where you like, you know what, you need to get some help?
Brain pain is the worst kind of pain you can have.
Oh,
I'm gonna say that again. Brain pain is the worst pain you can have. And when
yes.
you reach a point of brain pain, if you've ever encountered it, that's when you know. I can't, it's almost like a head injury. And you'll know when you've reached that place of brain pain, because I've reached it before and this is very uncomfortable. And I think one would have to be, honest about it. I
Mhm.
think we you want to save everybody. As a counselor, when I was a little girl,
Right.
I wanted to save
Not
everybody.
gonna happen.
I was like Lucy on Charlie Brown. I wanted to counsel everybody, but I had to accept that I can't help everybody. I can't want it more for them than they want it for themselves.
And that's the key right there. And also,
Mhm.
as therapists, we have to have colleagues, right, and specialists that we can
Mhm.
call on. And if you're working with an individual and maybe they're, dibbling and dabbling in substance, right? Well, I can call. The consultation is so
Mhm.
important in our field. We need to
Oh
consult
my God,
because we,
yes.
we don't have all the answers, right?
Mhm.
But I can call Dr. Beth, and say, hey, I have a client. I have a addiction counselor that I call and say, hey,
Mhm. Mm.
I've done what I could do as a
That's
therapist,
right.
right? Because oftentimes, and even just today, I recommend, hey, as your therapist, I want to work alongside with your psychiatrist. I want to ensure
That's
that we are
good.
speaking the same language, that we're on the
Right.
same track with you, right? And
Mhm.
your psychiatrist, if there's medications that they're going to be prescribing, I'm going to support that, right? So
Right.
it's important that we have the supports, the collaborative continuity of care that we're building for the
Mhm.
individual, because that's going to be important for them, because
Yes.
we don't have all the answers and we're not going to save everybody. Sometimes we have to refer them out.
That's true. That is good, Miss Brown. That is so
Refer them
true.
out. I love you, but I'm going to
Yes.
refer you at this time, right? Because I've
Yes.
done all that I could do, and our job is to do no harm. And we have to be aware to know what our limits are.
That's right. That's right.
And we're not always a perfect fit for someone. So
Absolutely.
sometimes you have therapy clients that need to find someone that is a better fit for them. And
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to say that to a client. I mean, I'm not, there's too many out here that there's too many people out here that need the help. So, you know, I might say, you know what, I think, Miss Brown would be a better fit for you. Let me give you her information and you call her, or I might call Miss Brown, you know, and say, I've got a client that I've been working with for 3 months or 2 months or whatever. And I don't think that I'm a good fit for them, but in talking to you and listening to you, I think you might be a better fit. So I'm giving
Yeah.
them your number, you know, hand to hand, hand off,
Yeah.
and refer them, collaborate. I love what Ms. Brown said about collaboration. I love
Yes.
talking to my other therapists.
Yes. Yes.
And so you guys, that's so good. But I want to rephrase the question then, because you guys will say, okay, you may need more guidance here. Maybe this person can add something of value to you. But I'm talking about those people who are not even in counseling at all,
Oh,
that
okay.
come to these types of forums, and you know, what do they need to see in themselves to say, okay, for instance, you know, I talk to people who say they can't sleep, and they just have accepted the fact that they don't sleep at night.
Yeah.
When we
Yes.
Yeah.
all know, as a clinical person, you know, that's a big deal, right?
Yeah.
You're
It
not
is.
sleeping. Sometimes they stop eating. Sometimes they got this negative self-talk going on. Sometimes they start thinking about suicide, thinking
Yeah.
about how they can check on out of here. I'm like,
Mhm.
what are the signs that, you know, they need to look for and say, leave away from this forum today and say, you know what, maybe I need to call Dr. Beth. Maybe I need to call Nanika. Maybe I need to call Kelly. Maybe I need their number.
Well, let
Well,
me say this. I do have to get off the line here in like at 3 o'clock because I have another
Okay.
obligation.
Right.
But I didn't know if the participants need to ask questions. But you just really said it, Miss Williams. It's the not sleeping. It's the isolation. It's the relationships. Your familiar relationships starts to suffer. You're missing work. It's starting to impact you physiologically. So there's a lot of it impacts, because your body gives you feedback. And like I said, I talk about the brain pain. And so it impacts everything. So it's just like if you're listening to your body gives you feedback when you know you are going to a place that may be hard to return to a good place. So it's the symptoms are different for everybody, but I think Miss Williams, you named quite a few.
Absolutely.
mhm, absolutely. And also personal hygiene, like not
Mm,
taking baths on a regular basis, not brushing their teeth, not washing their hair, not taking care of their personal self-care needs.
Their
mhm.
their environment at home is like, cluttered, like
Yes.
excessive clutter, right? There could be a workroom that you have that you say, oh, hey, this is organized chaos, right? But the work environment, your home, malodorous, where you don't take the trash out. Like she said, hygiene is poor. And then sometimes people can just ask, are you okay? When people start asking, are you okay? That means they're starting to notice that something's off.
Yeah. Yes.
It could be other people. You may not ever see it, but other people can see it and they begin to say, are you okay? What's wrong? And that's an
Right.
indicator that, somebody is saying, hey, something's going on.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, I'm going to open it up for questions right now. These last 10 minutes.
Okay.
And Dr. Campbell, can you stay on maybe 10 more minutes?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
If we go over, oh, I see
Sure.
a question already. Yes, Sister Denise. Oh, let me stop the, hold on.